What is genetic engineering exactly? Well, it's simple. Genetic engineering is when a gene from one organism is implanted into another. For example, humans genetically engineer bacteria by extracting the DNA that codes for making insulin and inserting it into bacterial DNA. This allows bacteria to produce insulin. Well, why do humans genetically engineer bacteria to have the insulin making gene? Well, this is because bacteria reproduce really fast, making a lot of bacteria in a short amount of time. Therefore, bacteria will be able to make a lot of insulin. Why should they make insulin? There's also a very good reason for this. This is because people in the world have diabetes, and people with diabetes need insulin to survive. People with diabetes lack insulin because the pancreas is defective, and therefore it either cannot make insulin or it cannot make enough insulin. This is why genetic engineering is really helpful, because it could produce insulin to help diabetics get insulin. You may be thinking, how does genetic engineering work? But before you learn how genetic engineering works, you will need to know how DNA works. Well, DNA is the genetic code, or instructions for making all of the proteins in the body. Therefore, by altering the DNA of one organism, you could also alter the proteins that are being made in that organism. For example, by removing a section of DNA from one organism and inserting it into another organism, you could create a new protein in that other organism. This is how the bacteria can be made to produce insulin. Enzymes are used to cut out the DNA from one organism, or a certain section of the DNA from one organism, and insert it into another. Genetic engineering is very helpful to many people, including people with diabetes, because their insulin can be made really, really fast. Genetic engineering is not only helpful for people with diabetes, for it could be helpful for everybody who eats apples, because genetic engineering could make bigger apples and apples without seeds by taking the DNA from one organism that is bigger than an apple or doesn't have seeds and inserting that DNA into the apples. This is why genetic engineering is good and helpful to everybody all around the world.